This is Mark Power for Mark Power Coaching. Today I'm going to introduce you to the mindful presence practice I call Identify, Interrupt, and Inspire. Identify is to know what we're experiencing. Often we're in our experience before we actually know what it is. We get angry and we're taken down that road, that pathway down which we know there are many things that could happen that we will not be proud of. Identify. So there's a sense of being conscious about what's happening. And in the psychological literature, there's a phrase, conscious labeling. So instead of being completely caught by the emotion, there's enough distance to be able to say, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling anger. I'm feeling powerless in the face of such overwhelming news and information about this COVID pandemic. So knowing what I'm feeling, knowing the experience that I'm having right now, identify. Interrupt is then to adopt some of the other aspects of the mindful presence practices that I introduced previously. Breathe. We take full intentional breaths. And as we do so, we begin to become more curious about what it is that's happening. What am I feeling? Where am I feeling? How is this stress, we could say, showing up in my body? Continuing to breathe, full breaths. Where am I noticing the feelings or the sensations of my emotion? Am I tightening somewhere? Is there a hollowness in the pit of my stomach? Whatever the experience is, we put our attention on it. And in this way, we're interrupting that reactive flow or that reactive impulse. Reactivity is a habit. It's a protective impulse. And so it's not inherently bad. It's just limited. It's using a strategy of protection. It's kind of using a big hammer for a small problem. The neuroscience describes the qualities or the reactivity of fight, flight, and freeze. And our reactions tend to be extreme in that regard. We're either fighting against something we see as a mortal danger, or we're fleeing the same, or we're freezing because we feel powerless in the face of such threat. But being able to interrupt is to be able to recognize the level of threat and then to be able to see into our experience. And therefore, the breath becomes a great ally, becomes a great tool for staying connected to that moment of choice, awareness now. So we have identify, we have interrupt, and we have inspire. Inspire is returning to our integrity, returning to our better angels. I like that phrase. I read in words that were spoken by Abraham Lincoln, but I don't know the origin. But our better angels, our integrity. How? What's most important to me about this situation? How do I want to show up in this situation? What's the most important thing to accomplish here? And of course, we're still riding that edge where, well, the most important thing is that I'm able to win this argument. No, that's the most reactive thing. What's the most important thing? The most important thing is, how can I align with my integrity? Who am I in my integrity? Is there an element of kindness? Is there an element of patience and forbearance? Is there courage? Is there generosity? Not that we're able to completely switch, but just by introducing the thought, introducing the potential, I want to show up as this person here. And I would encourage you to also, as with previous exercises, identify an image of integrity. What does integrity look like? And how does that image feel when I spend time with it? So that you begin to become aware of and familiar with that all four cores of presence. What does it feel like in my body when I have integrity? What are my emotions like when I have integrity? What are the thoughts of integrity? And how do I act in relationship to others when I have integrity? Of course, this doesn't happen right in the moment of stress. It requires practice. It requires us to become quite familiar with that shortcut to, instead of being reactive, meeting this stressful situation with my integrity. So let me run us through that practice again without so much commentary. First, imagine a situation that triggers you. A person, a place, a thing, all three. Maybe even heightened by this sense of isolation and distancing that is part of our global experience right now. What's something that triggers you? And can you put yourself in that context even a little bit? You may have to confront that person or this situation in the near term. How are you feeling about that? And that is the question. What do I feel? What am I thinking? What's happening in my body as I think about these triggering stimuli? Label it. I'm feeling whatever it is, angry, frustrated, loss of heart. That's step one. Now take full breaths. As you breathe in, be attentive to the fullness of your experience. Body, mind, emotion. As you breathe out, see if you can release any amount of struggle, any amount of trying to change the situation. Breathing in, notice the fullness of your experience. Breathing out, any amount of release. And here you have interrupt. It doesn't cause that stressful experience to completely go away, but you've shifted it to the background, or more toward the background. Awareness is now in the foreground. Awareness which will enable you to choose. Inspire. Who am I in my integrity? What do I need more of right now in order to manifest that integrity? And what's the image of that? Even if you can bring it to mind only vaguely, it's the beginning of an exploration. Identify, interrupt, and inspire.